given a time turner, what would you go back and tell your 21-year-old self in the context of career management?
Okay, well, really thinking about that particular time turning, particularly in relation to J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter, I think really the most important thing is to have a very clear mission in your life. And that was one thing that I would certainly go back and clarify. What is my mission? What would I want to actually achieve in the long term with my life? Secondly, I would also ensure that I had a very clear mentor, someone who actually was actually in the particular area that I wanted to kind of develop.
Mm-hmm.
I think very early on in your career, you kind of stumble into things sometimes, and I would definitely go back and actually make sure that I had a very clear mentor in what I wanted to achieve. And mixing with kind of people who are high achievers, I think, is also very important, because they actually give you the impetus and knowledge to actually achieve what you want to do very quickly.
Well, I'm going to launch right in now and keep this short and sweet. So the first question I'm going to ask you this morning is, given a time turner, once again pulling in some themes from the Harry Potter books, given a time turner, what would you go back and tell your 21-year-old self in the context of career management?
In the context of career management, and I do love the Harry Potter and Hogwarts. One other thing about me I didn't say is I am the father of 3 teenagers, so we have gone through that Harry Potter series, and everyone in my house has read all of those books. So it's a great question, and if I had a time machine and could go back and talk to myself at age 21 and talk about kind of where I was going to go in my career, is that the idea? Like give myself advice on where to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, knowing now what you know now that you didn't know then.
I think the number one thing that I would encourage myself to do, which I just wasn't aware of at that time in my life, is to really have an awareness of my feelings and emotions. And, as opposed to at that time I was making all my decisions right here in my head, rational thought, intellectual thought. And what I've learned over the years is that the feeling and emotional component is so important to include in the major life decisions that we make. And as I look back and I see the decisions that I've made that have worked out the best, it really is the ones where I was connected to the feeling and emotion. And I was driven not just by the intellectual kind of figuring it out side of things, but really connecting to the feeling and emotion of the different options that I was faced with. And the choices that I've made where I really followed my heart, really connected to and followed my heart, have consistently been the decisions that have worked out the best for me. So I think that of all the things that I wish I had really known and understood then, and it's interesting to think in the context of graduation speech, because I know, at least in my experience, my educational experience was all here. It was all about the mind and filling up the mind with as much information as possible. And I think I wish I had had a little more training, a little more education in tapping into the heart and the value of that kind of intelligence, as well as the intellectual intelligence.